ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाखाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरून् श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सार्वधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धूनैव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। I'll just share the screen quickly. अंधं तमा प्रविशन्ति ये अविद्यामुपासते ततो भूय इव ते तमो ययो विद्यायां रतः। Those who engage in the culture of nescient activity shall enter into the darkest region of ignorance. Worst still are those who engaged in the culture of so-called knowledge. Sudha, please read the paragraph number 1.
Okay. This mantra offers a comparative study of Vidya and Avidya. Avidya or ignorance is undoubtedly dangerous, but Vidya or knowledge is even more dangerous when mistaken or misguided. This mantra of Sri ISHOPANISHAD is more applicable today than at any time in the past. Modern civilization has advanced considerably in the field of mass education, but the result is that people are more unhappy than even before because of the stress placed on material advancement to the exclusion of the most important part of life, the spiritual aspect.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, this particular paragraph, which is saying that, give me 1 minute, there is some message from somebody. Okay, fine. So, if you see with this from mantra 9 to mantra 11, okay. So, from mantra 9 to mantra 11, you remember I had sent one image actually, where from mantra 9 to mantra 11, we'll be speaking about guidelines for knowledge. And from mantra 9 to 11, we are comparing the cultivation of knowledge and nescience. And what is right knowledge and what is wrong knowledge for understanding Ishwar. So, if you see, the connection is that we have, having received this complete knowledge of Shri Ishopanishad in the invocation and from mantras 1 to 8. Now we are receiving further guidelines on which types of knowledge to seek and which types of practices to follow so that we may also realize this vision. Sometimes many people, they take the wrong type of knowledge. They might read any, spiritual books which are not into the parampara. They might think that, everything is connecting to God, so I can read anything. So now from mantra 9 to 11, we begin with the guidelines for knowledge in these three mantras. And there are different types of non-devotees, and they have, achieved varying degrees of misfortune. Now, in order to advance properly for a devotee, we must understand both the wonderful nature of the spiritual life and what are the defects of the material life, and whom should we water. Should we water the spiritual knowledge or should we water the material knowledge? Because if I'm watering spiritual knowledge, then okay, I'm understanding Lord Krishna's position as the supreme absolute truth. So if you say that what could be the theme, that without knowledge of spiritual life, our material life will only lead us to labor more or strive more. So His Holiness Hanuman Prakshak Maharaj, he's actually contrasting those who know the temporary and those who know the permanent nature of this particular knowledge. And now if we look at this meaning from 9th text to the 11th text, very literally it will seem that okay, it's very confusing, that what are they speaking. In text 9 something is being said, in text something is being said, and in text 11 something is being said. Like in text 9 says that both vidya and avidya are bad, but then text 10 says that vidya and avidya will give different results, and text 11 says that vidya and avidya have to be cultivated together to attain liberation. So meaning of vidya and avidya are different in all these three verses. So if you see in text 9, when we say avidya will take from darkness, and vidya will take to greater darkness. And in text 10, vidya gives one result and avidya gives another result. And in text, if we see in text 11, if we see that it says that vidya and avidya together, they grant immortality. So when we are actually learning avidya, so in text 9, avidya will be like an ignorant pursuit. But in the same text, vidya will be like knowledge for pursuing sense gratification. So, and in text 10, knowledge for pursuit of sense gratification will be avidya. And that same vidya, when you get knowledge for the pursuit of Krishna consciousness, that is more better. And in text 11, then avidya will be only for eat, sleep and merrymaking. That is only for bodily maintenance. But if you have knowledge for pursuit of KC, then that will be beneficial. So we should know both text and context, because the Upanishads are very confusing. So we have to refer to only Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So in this mantra 9, they're saying that those who will neglect spiritual knowledge, they will enter into darkness. And there is a comparative study of Vidya and Avidya, and the three kinds of knowledge that we'll be actually seeing into this particular text 9. So in this particular text, the connection is that this mantra 3 was referring to the killer of the soul, if you'll remember, Atmaha, or non-devotees who do not understand the Isavasya principle. But now in 9th text, there are two types of persons that are described. That is, one is materially ignorant and materially knowledgeable. So we'll be seeing like who are the materially ignorant and the materially knowledgeable people. And mantra 9 actually starts with those who neglect spiritual knowledge and shall be covered by darkness and ignorance. So in this first particular paragraph, it says that why is avidya greater than vidya? So this mantra is offering a comparative study of vidya and avidya. So avidya means ignorance, and it is and definitely it is dangerous. But vidya or knowledge is even more dangerous when it is misguided or it is mistaken. So this particular mantra of Sri ISHOPANISHAD is more applicable, today than at any time in the past. How? Because modern civilization, has advanced completely in, mass education, and the result is that people are even more unhappy than even before because of the stress placed on material advancement. And the spiritual aspect is completely lost. They are not giving too much this on the spiritual aspect. So uh, in one of the lectures I had heard that previously people might be uncomfortable, like they were toiling too much, sweating under the sun, but now people are comfortably miserable. Like Martin Luther, he says that we have guided missiles and misguided men. So in this particular purport, Srila Prabhupada 3 times refers to, text 1, that is, what is real knowledge. So in this particular paragraph, it has been actually, said that how we should pursue. And in the next paragraph, they will be saying that, less education is better than a wrong education. So let's go to para number 2 and just check out. Yeah, read paragraph number 2.
As far as Vidya is concerned, the first mantra has explained very clearly that the Supreme Lord is the proprietor of everything and that forgetfulness of this fact is ignorance. The more a man forgets his fact of life, the more he is in darkness. In view of this, a godless civilization directed towards the so called advancement of education is more dangerous than a civilization in which the masses of people are less educated.
Yeah. So now if you see in this para 2, over here it says that less education is better than wrong education. So what is real vidya? Real vidya is that the Supreme Lord is the proprietor of everything. Okay. And what is real avidya? Real avidya is that forgetfulness of the fact that, that I belong to the Lord, or there is some supreme proprietor. Forgetful of this fact is actually ignorance. So if I say that, if I want to give an example of avidya, we can give it as a godless civilization directed towards so-called education of uh, advanced education, and it is more dangerous than a civilization in which the masses of people are less educated. So if you see in this paragraph, more stress is given that, okay, less education is better than wrong education. So for example, somebody is educating that, okay, so and so person is very supreme. So it is better not to have only education of such a person and be misguided by him. There are so many so-called gurus and so-called misleading people who are misleading the innocent people. So that is why in this paragraph, it's saying that less education is better than wrong education. Okay, so let's go to the next.
Of the different classes of men,
No,
karmis,
wait, wait. Let
somebody
me
else
share
should.
the screen. I haven't shared the screen.
Okay.
So devotees. Yeah, read now.
Of the different classes of men, karmis, jnanis, and yogis, the karmis are those who are engaged in the activities of sense gratification. In the modern civilization, 99.9% of the people are engaged in the activities of sense gratification under the flags of industrialism, economic development, altruism, political activism, and so on. All these activities are more or less based on satisfaction of the senses, to the exclusion of the kind of God consciousness described in the first mantra.
Okay, yeah. So now in this particular text, what they are saying is that where, uh, this particular paragraph is primarily stressing on the karmis, like all isms based on wrong education, that goal of life is sense enjoyment, sense gratification. And Prabhupada is saying that all this industrialism or economic development, altruism, political activism and all, they are more or less, based on satisfaction of the senses only. To the exclusion that of kind that, so they're actually excluding, the kind of God consciousness that is described in mantra 1. So a complete exclusion is given over there that, okay, all the isms and all, whatever my education is, that will be only for my own sense gratification. So this is what the paragraph 3 is actually speaking about. More of a godless civilization is actually speaking about. So let's go to the next paragraph. Juhi Mataji, please read this paragraph. Is Juhi Mataji there? Juhi Mataji? Okay.
Sorry, Mataji, this thing didn't go off. Hare Krishna. In the leak of the Bhagavad Gita, 7
No.
point. Sorry,
Yeah.
I need to see on my book because the screen is too small for my. Give me a moment, please.
Okay.
In the language of the Bhagavad Gita, people who are engaged in gross sense gratification are mudas, asses. The ass is a symbol of stupidity. Those who simply engage in the profitless pursuit of sense gratification are worshipping avidya. One second. Mataji, can you increase the screen a little? Okay, I got it. Are worshipping avidya according to Sri ISHOPANISHAD. And those who play the role of helping this sort of civilization in the name of educational advancement are actually doing more harm than those who are on the platform of gross sense gratification. The advancement of the advancement of learning by a godless people is as dangerous as a valuable jewel on the hood of a cobra. A cobra decorated with a valuable jewel is more dangerous than one not decorated. In the Hari Bhakti Sudhodaya 3.11.12, the advancement of education by a godless people is compared to decorations on a dead body. In India, as in many other countries, some people follow the custom of leading a procession with a decorated dead body for the pleasure of the lamenting relatives. In the same way, modern civilization is a patchwork of activities meant to cover the perpetual miseries of material existence. All such activities are aimed towards sense gratification, but above the senses is the mind, and above the mind is intelligence, and above the intelligence is the soul. Thus, the aim of real education should be self-realization, realization of the spiritual values of the soul. Any education which does not lead to such realization must be considered avidya or nescience. And to culture such nescience means to go down to the darkest region of ignorance.
Yeah, so much. So now in this particular paragraph, it's a long paragraph, and the explanation is also very interesting. So now in this particular paragraph, saying that since karmis work, so due to wrong education, worse are those who provide that wrong education. Where, in the Bhagavad Gita 7.15, where they're saying that people who are engaged in gross sense gratification are moodhas, they are stupid. And, in one of the lectures, I had heard that people have made sense gratification a secular god. So, if you see in George Harrison's hotel, this towel was also divided into 16 parts and sold at a large price. But they worshipped till, a person provides sense gratification. When no longer, it is providing, the person is then again replaced. And even if you see, if you see in our cinemas and movies and sports stars and all, they are also being worshipped. And their worship is also like a misuse and, abuse of human intelligence. We'll think of them at the time of death, and what will happen? Yam yam vapi smaranam, tajete anti kalevaram. So while thinking about them at the time of death, what are we going to gain? So, this modern godless education that is mentioned in this particular paragraph, to be in ignorance is really bad. And to be in ignorance and to claim to be in knowledge is even worse. That is actually, non-theistic scientists. Non-theistic scientists means who do not believe in God at all. And to be in ignorance and to claim to be in knowledge and to condemn real knowledge as ignorance is even worst. And these are those atheistic science which Srila Prabhupada, outrightly condemns them. So those who play the role of helping this sort of civilization in the name of, educational advancement, are actually doing more harm than those who are on the platform of gross sense gratification. So, in this analogy, one that, advancement of learning of a godless people is as dangerous as a valuable, jewel on the hood of a cobra. A cobra is decorated with a valuable jewel. He's more dangerous than, one who is not decorated at all. So this jeweled cobra is more dangerous because he's more attractive. Similarly, people who drink water, if they become thirsty, but educated people, attract you to drink, drink this Coca-Cola, drink this Pepsi-Cola, it is very, tasty. So that is what we have to actually refrain from. And there is another second analogy in the same paragraph, which is saying that it was what? It was from the Hari Bhakti Suhodaya, it is saying that the advancement of education by a godless people is compared to the decoration of a dead body. So, people are following some customs that, you decorate this dead body for the pleasure of these lamenting, and still they're getting a little peace. So, Prabhupada is comparing that similarly, even modern civilization is doing a patchwork of activities meant to cover the miseries of material existence. So what is that patchwork? They're doing, okay, we can just, go for watching movies, or I will be a fan of this person, I'll be a fan of that person. So all such activities are aimed towards, sense gratification. But Prabhupada is saying that above the senses are the mind. Above the mind is the intelligence, and above the intelligence is the soul. Now, if you see, I had heard in one of the lectures where it says that the guru, if you see, we have our mind and we have our intelligence. But currently, our mind is above our intelligence, and that is why the mind is controlling the intelligence. And that is why we do not know what is right, what is wrong. But the spiritual master's intelligence is above the mind. So this is intelligence and this is the mind. And because his intelligence is above the mind, he is able to tell me what are my defects. I am not able to see my own defect. Like, for example, if I see myself in the mirror, then I'll be able to see, okay, there's a black dot on my nose or a black dot on my cheek. But the spiritual master is able, the spiritual master is like a mirror. He will be telling you what are your defects. He will be able to tell you that what is lacking in you and what needs to be improvised in you. Like, see, even Lord Krishna, okay. If Lord Krishna wants to know his beauty, where will he go? He will go to his pure devotees, because the pure devotees will be able to tell who Krishna is and they'll be able to glorify him as such. So similarly, the spiritual master will be able to tell us that, what is your position and where are you going. And that is why again and again we need to go to our spiritual masters, or even if they are not accessible, keep on writing emails to them, and we'll be able to know that, okay, in which direction am I going. So the reason why I told you all this is that, and because self-realization is, when you come to the position of that I am not this body, I am the soul, then self-realization starts from there. The moment you are trying to identify that, okay, I am this body and I'm not the soul, then self-realization is very difficult. But the moment you come to know that, okay, I am a spirit soul, I'm not this body, I have a connection with Krishna, and that's where actually self-realization starts from. But how do we get this self-realization? This self-realization will get only by chanting the holy names of the Lord. So any education which does not lead us to such realization must be considered as avidya or knee science. So, and to culture such knee science means to go down into the darkest region of ignorance. So, yeah, there are, there is the right wing of Hindus and there is a, Muslims, and there is a right wing of atheists who claim religion is the source of all problems. And they are the worst people, because technology in itself is not bad. But today, what is being used for, how the technology is being used for sense gratification, then that is bad. So this is what actually they are trying to say in this fourth paragraph. Let's go to the fifth paragraph. Mahendra Prabhu, please read this paragraph.
According to the Bhagavad Gita 2.42 and 7.15, mistaken mundane educators are known as Vedavada Rata and Mayaya
Aparita Jnana.
Parhita Jnana. They may also be atheist demons, the lowest of man. Those who are Vedavada Rata pose themselves as very learned in the Vedic literature, but unfortunately they are completely diverted from the purpose of the Vedas. In the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, it is said that the purpose of the Vedas is to know the personality of Godhead. But these Vedavada Rata men are not at all interested in the personality of Godhead. On the contrary, they are fascinated by such fruitive results as the attainment of heaven.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. So now see, actually, just on the same screen, I'll share you what is Maya Aparita Jnana means. Okay. Maya Aparita Jnana means he might be very highly educated academically, but Maya has taken away his knowledge. Asuri Bhavam Ashrita. Because he has taken to the principle of atheism, all these educational qualifications or sharp brain, Kritina, Dushkritina. Kritina means one who has got very sharp brain, sharp memory. He is called Kriti. But on account of association with Maya, his brain is utilized for doing something harmful to the society. And they cannot do anything good for the human society. This is not possible. This is the definition of Maya Aparita that Srila Prabhupada is actually giving on this particular shloka. And further he says that he says that Maya Aparita, he might be highly educated academic, but Maya has taken away his knowledge. Sorry, Bhava Master, because he has taken to the principle of atheism, all the educational qualifications or sharp brain, Kritina, Dushkritina, is completely, Kritina means one who has got very sharp brain, sharp memory. It's called Kriti. But on the account of association with Maya, his brain is utilized for something harmful to the human society. So anything that you are doing harmful for the society, then we are called Dushkritina. And they cannot do anything good for the human society. They will be always, harming the spiritual society as such, or the normal society also. So these type of people, they are there. They do not know what is, good for humankind and what is good for them also. So see, even these Vedavada Rathas, okay, Vedavada Rathas is means what? These are, the wrong educators. So where we say that, Vedavada Rathas are pose themselves as very learned in the Vedic literature, but unfortunately, they are completely diverted from the purpose of the Vedas. And what is the purpose of the Vedas? The purpose of the Vedas is to know the supreme personality of Godhead. So these Vedavada Rathas, they are there. They are actually karma kandis. They are, visiting, going to the Ganesha temple and, worshipping Lord Ganesha, or do jihad. You will get 71 virgins according to one Christian interpretation of Quran. And the Vedic Brahmanas that were there in the 10th canto, they're karma kandi. Like they just wanted to do, yagyas, but the main aim of yagya or sacrifice is to please the supreme personality of Godhead. This they really got diverted from. So initially, in Prabhupada's time, initially the devotees did not know who a Mayavadi is. So they thought that why is Swamiji criticizing Mayavadis? Maybe because he's had a bad experience with some Mayavadi. But it is not like that. They are very really dangerous. And Prabhupada here particularly is talking about the, Arya Samaj people. So they are in Arya Samaj, actually, they are more of, karma kant things. You do this and, you'll get this, result. You do this and you'll get this particular result. And they believe in this whole mass marriages and all it. So this Vedavada Rata, these are all karma kandis, So they might be very learned, but they do not know the purpose of the Vedas. So this is what is being said into this paragraph number 5. Let's see with paragraph number 6. Lakshmi Narayan Prabhu, please do the honors of reading this paragraph. Is Lakshmi Narayan Prabhu there?
Hare Krishna. Sorry, Mataji, I was in mute.
Yeah, sure.
As stated in Mantra 1, we should know that the personality of Godhead is the proprietor of everything, and that we must satisfy with our allotted portions of the necessities of the life. The purpose of all Vedic literature is to awaken this God consciousness in the forgetful living being. And this same purpose is presented in various ways in the different scriptures of the world for the understanding of a foolish mankind. Thus, the ultimate purpose of all religions is to bring one back to Godhead.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
Veda Vada Rata people,
No problem.
instead of realizing,
We'll be just discussing this one paragraph, Prabhu. Okay.
okay,
We're going para by para and we're explaining para by para. Okay, Prabhu.
okay.
Okay. So in this particular paragraph, what is Prabhupada trying to say is that he's saying that uh, uh, all these religions teach the same principle. So there is no contradiction as seen by, the Veda Vadaratas. So the purpose of all Vedic literatures, it is what is to awaken the love of God. Okay. And the Isavasya consciousness in, in the living entities who have forgotten their relationship with the Lord. So, and the same purpose is actually presented in various ways in different scriptures of the world also. For understanding that, okay, this particular foolish man who does not know his relationship with God, and the ultimate purpose of all these religions is to bring back the fallen conditioned souls back home, back to Godhead. So this is what they are trying to say in this particular paragraph, that people have forgotten that, the Isavasya principle, that utilize everything in the service of the Lord. And maybe in the next paragraph, they will speak more about Veda Vatarata. So let's see with the Veda Vataratas more. Atima Mataji, you're there. Please read this.
But the Vedavata Rata people, instead of realizing that the purpose of the Vedas is to revive the forgetfulness, soul's lost relationship, take it for granted that such side issues as the attainment of heavenly pleasure for sense gratification, the lust for which causes their material bondage in the first place, are the ultimate end of the Vedas. Such people misguide others by misinterpreting the Vedic literature. Sometimes they even condemn the Puranas, which are authentic Vedic explanations for laymen. The Vedavadas Ratas give their own explanations of the Vedas, neglecting the authority of great teachers, acharyas. They also tend to raise some unscrupulous person from among themselves and present him as the leading exponent of Vedic knowledge. Such Vedavadas Ratas are especially condemned in this mantra by the very appropriate Sanskrit word
Vidya Rataha.
Vidya. Refers to the study of the Vedas because the Vedas knowledge, Vidya, and Rataha means those engaged. Vidya Rataha thus means those engaged in the study of the Vedas. The so-called students of the Vedas are condemned herein because they are ignorant of the actual purpose of the Vedas on account of their disobeying the acharyas. Such Vedavatas Ratas search out meanings in every word of the Vedas to suit their own purposes. They do not know that the Vedic literature is a collection of extraordinary books that can be understood only through the chain of disciplic succession.
Yes, yeah. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So in this particular, paragraph, what Prabhupada is actually saying is that these Veda Vataratas, their main fault is they give their own meaning to the Vedas, and they neglect the authentic meaning of the acharyas. So they consider attaining heavenly planets as the goal of the Vedas, to go to Swargaloka, Veda Vataratas. But and they are misguided also, but they are misguiding others also by misinterpreting the Vedic literature, and searching out meanings in every word of the Vedas, which is actually suiting to their own purpose, or for their own sense gratification. They are extracting some meaning from that particular Vedic text. So sometimes even they condemn even the Puranas. They say that no, Puranas are nothing, and this is false in the Purana, this is something false written in the Purana. So they are giving their own explanation of the Vedas, and they're neglecting the authority of the great acharyas who have, written these texts or written these books, and who have, through their own realizations, like if you see the Srimad Bhagavatam, okay, the Srimad Bhagavatam is a natural commentary of the Vedanta Sutra. But who has written that? Vedavyas, who is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They condemned even such texts, and they don't want to refer to such text also. Or even the Bhagavad Gita, they're outrightly even, condemning the Bhagavad Gita. They say, okay, and even if they are actually taking something from the Bhagavad Gita, then they will twist and turn the meaning of those texts also. So these Vedavadaratas people are very dangerous. So, they tend to raise some unscrupulous person from among themselves, and they present that, okay, he's a leading exponent of this Vedic knowledge and he knows a lot of Vedas and all. And then people are definitely attracted towards knowledge. Then they say, oh, he's a very knowledgeable person. He knows with the Vedas, everything. But that particular person, he is not presenting the Veda, the, authentic meaning of the acharyas. He is giving his own meaning, and the, innocent mass of people are being misled by his knowledge. So they do not know that Vedic literature is, such a beautiful collection of so many extraordinary books for, the mankind for many, many generations to come. And this particular knowledge, Prabhupada is saying that it can be attained only through disciplic succession, a chain of disciplic succession. And if in their case, they don't want to follow any parampara, they don't want to follow any authorized or a bona fide parampara, and they actually form their own, parampara of people who are, twisting and turning the meanings of the Vedas. So why are they condemned? Because they are ignorant of the actual purpose of the Vedas, and they are disobeying the acharyas. That is why they are condemned. What are they ignorant about? That the actual purpose of the Vedas is to know the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This they do not know. And secondly, they are disobeying the acharyas, and that is why these are the two reasons why they are condemned, these Vedavada Rathas. So in the 7th paragraph, Prabhupada is very, very boldly smashing, these Vedavada Rathas. Let's see the next para. Sushil Prabhu, please do the honors of reading this paragraph.
Hare Krishna. One must approach a bona fide spiritual master in order to understand the transcendental message of the Vedas. That is the direction of the Mundaka Upanishad 1.2.12. These Vedavada Ratha people, however, have their own acharyas who are not in the chain of transcendental succession. Thus, they progress into the darkest region of ignorance by misinterpreting the Vedic literature. They fall even further into the ignorance than those who have no knowledge of the Vedas at all.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. So now in this particular paragraph, they're saying that what is the result of this misinterpretation? When you misinterpret the Vedas, when you do not present the Vedas in a proper way, when you disobey the acharyas, when you do not know what is the actual purpose of the Vedas, then the result of such misinterpretation is that they fall even further into ignorance than those who have no knowledge of the Vedas at all. One is that you have the knowledge of the Vedas and you twist turn the Vedas, so you fall more into ignorance, and this is more dangerous. And now in, let's see in text 9 what they're trying to say is. Anshuman Prabhu, please do the honors of reading this paragraph.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. The Mayaprata Jnana class of men are self-made gods. Such men think that they themselves are God and that there is no need of worshipping any other god. They will agree to worship an ordinary man if he happens to be rich, but they will never worship the personality of Godhead. Such men, unable to recognize their own foolishness, never consider how it is that God can be entrapped by Maya, his own illusory energy. If God were ever entrapped by Maya, Maya would be more powerful than God. Such men say that God is all powerful, but they do not consider that if he is all powerful, there is no possibility of his being overpowered by Maya. These self made gods cannot answer all these questions very clearly. They are simply satisfied to have become God themselves.
Yeah, so
Hare Krishna.
they just want to become God themselves. So now in this particular, last paragraph, these are the second type of wrong educators. The first type of wrong educators are what? Vedavada Ratas. And the second type of wrong educators are these Maya Aparita Jnana. So Maya Aparita Jnana means what? They are like Brahmavadis who do not know about Bhagwan. And they are like Mayavadis also. They imagine Bhagwan to be a temporary manifestation of Brahman. And there is, they have the misconceptions of materialism and monism. So materialism makes the man, what is that? Materialism mistakes the counterfeit note to be real. Okay, nakli note ko asli manta hai. So the temporary material activities are, the essence of life. This is what, these are the material misconceptions. And monism is mistaking that the real note is to be a counterfeit. The eternal, spiritual activities are illusionary. Like if Krishna is playing with the Gopas, they are thinking that, oh, this is like, this is illusional. So this Maya Aparita class of men are actually self-made gods, is what they're saying in the, the paragraph. And they are closer to the Mayavadis. And this word Maya Aparita Jnana, this comes from the very text, the 7.15 that we read previously. So such men think that they themselves are God and there is no need of worshipping any other God. These are called Maya Aparita Jnana. तो उनको लगता है कि मैं ही भगवान हूँ, मुझे दूसरे किसी भगवान की पूजा या अर्चना करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. So they will agree to worship any other ordinary man also if he happens to be rich, but they will never worship the supreme personality of Godhead. And such men, are unable to recognize their own foolishness, and they never consider how it is that God can be entrapped by Maya, his own illusionary energy. उनको लगता है कि भगवान भी माया के वशीभूत हो सकते हैं. So, there might be an argument saying that if God were ever entrapped by Maya, Maya would be more powerful than God, right? So such men say that God is all powerful, but they do not consider that he's all powerful. There is no possibility of his being overpowered by Maya. So Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj actually in one of his classes say that. I think somebody is on unmute. Please mute yourselves. So he says that when their God can't come out of illusion, they say that it is Leela. So their God eats meat and he has illicit sex and everything. Like even during Bhakti Vinod Thakur's time, there was one Bishak Sen, and he also posed himself as God, and how Bhakti Vinod Thakur smashed him and he was sent to jail. So in this, mantra, primarily what is being discussed that, there are different types. If you see in mantra 3 also, there were different types of the killers of soul or non-devotees who do not understand the Isavasya principle. And now, primarily in this text 9, there are two types of persons who are described. One is the materially ignorant and the materially knowledgeable. And Prabhupada is explaining that this materially knowledgeable is more dangerous than the ignorant. And as far as, Vidya is concerned, the first mantra, has explained very clearly that the Supreme Lord is the proprietor of everything. And that forgetfulness of this fact is actually ignorance. The more the man forgets this fact, the more he goes into this darkness. So a godless civilization will be, directed towards the so-called advancement of education, which is more dangerous than a civilization which has masses of people who are less, educated. Of course, those who are ignorant, they are very unfortunate. But the so-called education of mundane intellectuals is like even worse. And Srila Prabhupada is actually comparing it to the jewel on the head of a cobra who looks very more attractive. But that attractiveness is actually to make that cobra even more dangerous. Now, see, for example, somebody has wrong knowledge. It's like jewel on the head, which is actually more dangerous. Galat knowledge bahut hai. So these two types of materialistic educators, the Vedavata Ratas, they are posing themselves to be Vedic authorities, but they are diverting actually the students to the from the real goal of life of the Vedas, which is to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to know the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they're speculating, they are speculating in the sense that they, keep on saying that, okay, there is no disciplic succession, there is no, chain of authorities as such. And then the Maya Parita people, they are, self-manufactured gods. They are whimsically thinking that, I am God, and they're thinking that though actually, they're taking such a lofty position, but they are unable to even deliver themselves from illusion, what to speak of their followers. So this is particularly spoken on in this particular mantra. So I halt over here for any questions or any queries on this particular mantra. We'll just take another like 5-6 minutes to solve some doubts and see if somebody wants to have some clarification on some paragraph or something like that. Or else we move to the next mantra.
Mataji,
Raise your hands if you all want to, ask something so that. Yeah. Who was asking just now? Atima?
yes.
Yeah, Atima. Yeah.
Mataji, if you see Radha Swamis, matlab they say that Swamiji is everything and we don't believe in idol worship and all that. So what are they?
Yeah, the Radha Swami people, they have called that cult as Radha Swami, but they do not believe in God. It means, they believe, but their God is formless. उनका जो भगवान है उसमें कोई रूप आकार निराकार है. So they are actually Nirakarvadis, that the Lord does not have a form. But then, for example, when I call out a particular person, say for example, you are calling out your own child, okay, who is very small. So the moment you are speaking about your child, you have in your mind the form of your own child, right? Okay, my child is, so much height, he looks so cute, he looks so nice, he talks like this, he walks like this, he runs like this, right? There is a form which is associated with that particular name, right? So similarly, the Radha Swami people, they do not believe only कि भगवान को कोई form होगा, भगवान का कोई आकार है. So they are actually, one type of like, Nirakarvadi people only, formless, like that way. I had a friend in my, school. They were Kattar Radha Swami people. And I used to always have an argument with her because she used to attend on Sundays the Radha Swami Satsang. And I used to attend the Hare Krishna Satsang in the temple. And we both used to actually, and then she never came to that conclusion that, the Lord has a form. So she's still, though she's still my friend in Bombay, but she still is, firm that the Lord is formless. Like, so we can't change such people like as such. We can always give them prasadam. We can always give them some this like. So whenever I have given her some gift about Krishna and all, she's always attracted to that form of Krishna. I say, see, this is only that thing that you're attracted to. You, because you've been hearing something that the Lord does not have a form, and that's, fixed into your brain and it is there. But whenever I'm giving you some picture of Krishna, or on your birthday, if I'm giving you something, you are very much accepting. Why? Because you have that, every soul has attraction for the Lord. Only it is that it is covered by some, illusion. But there is a form of the Lord. I have told her many times this. I said, you're calling out your daughter. So daughter also has a form. But anyways, she cannot be changed as
Yeah,
such.
actually, my friend, she is also Radha Swami, and I've been calling her to temple. She comes, but
I think maybe, I was not, or I am not so pure enough to convert a Radha Swami into a, like, Hare Krishna devotee. So, but I'm just having good relations with her. Yeah,
thank you,
any more
Mataji. Hare
questions?
Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. So yesterday was Atima's birthday, and we wish her a very happy Krishna conscious birthday, belated birthday. Yeah, Shubhangi Mataji.
Madhuri, just the example which you gave right now, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that we cannot preach our family members. I mean, we can make the whole world a Krishna conscious and get everybody to our movement, but other than our families, I mean, you cannot preach your family.
Yes.
So, Mataji,
Yes.
I had a question that, for example, if some devotee is very firm in our movement, in the philosophy and the path shown by Srila Prabhupada, how do that devotee tackle with the parents? I mean, I know it's not related to the topic we're discussing, but just
I think this is also proper relevant question. I do not feel that is an irrelevant question. Why? Because see, for example, if somebody has non-devotee parents, let us understand that right from my childhood, right from the time I was in my mother's womb, my father and my mother have contributed to my well-being. So in that way, I am actually indebted to my parents. So my behavior with my parents will be, it's very easy to say that, because see, I have devotee parents. So it is very easy to say, sitting on this, Vyasasana, saying that, okay, you should be, very this and that. But if we try, our parents love us more than anybody else. If we try to be very goody with them, if we try that, yeah, you to be more better than what you were before, definitely the parents also will understand. And see, when we give our parents lots of love, that love can actually win. Why? Because you're staying in the same house, you've been knowing each other from a long time. They might be, following some different cult, or they might be having their own ideologies as such. But I think we can just have very good relations with them. We can just say, we can pray to the Lord that, my parents are in ignorance. By your mercy, Krishna, I have come into, Krishna consciousness. I am actually worshipping you, but it's my ardent desire. If you desire, let them become devotees. This is His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj once had made this statement that, Krishna, if you desire, let my parents become devotees, let they also worship you, let them also be happy. Currently they are not happy in, in the material world or with whatever they are following, but it is my desire that they should be happy, and if they are happy, then I'll be happy, and if I'm happy, you will be happy. So we can pray, and we should never have this particular thing that, okay, I'm a Hare Krishna devotee and, I am on the highest platform, and y'all are, like his Grace Govind Prabhu was saying once that when he became a devotee, he used to think that he is a lotus flower. So we should not think that, okay, I am a lotus flower and all my other relatives are kichad or mud. wet mud. So we should be very humble enough and more humble and exhibit more better qualities in front of them, trying to give them importance, trying to give them that respect what they deserve as parents. Sometimes we don't include them in festivals, we don't include them in, we don't wish them on their anniversaries, on their birthdays, we don't celebrate also. They say, oh, we are in Krishna consciousness, nothing else is real. So Krishna consciousness does not mean that you kill the emotions. You kill those emotions in the name of God. Krishna conscious means that you actually behave in such a way that you know that every living entity is a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And that's how you will deal with everybody, not only your own parents, but maybe your own neighbors also, maybe your own servant in your home also. You behave with them in that loving manner, and you give them whatever they deserve as parents. So wishing on their birthdays, wishing on their anniversaries, celebrating their birthdays and anniversaries, celebrating some small achievements also if they have made, praising them, encouraging them, motivating them, or even calling them to your own home for some function that you have held, and making them feel wanted. See, when parents they can become very old, no, then they are more like small children. They want that, we are want, like how, see, when we were small, we were completely dependent on our parents, right? That even they have, but we're so dependent that, okay, we couldn't walk without them, we couldn't sleep without them, we could not eat without them. They have done every spoon feeding for us. Now when parents become old, because all their children are on their own paths, the daughter has got married, the son has got married, he has got his own family, the daughter has got her own family and all, parents are alone. Now what? They want love from us. They just want love from us. They don't want anything else. They're not demanding money. They're not, they want only love and time from us. So if we are able to give these two things, and if we are able to give them that love and respect what they deserve, then I think parents will definitely become Krishna conscious. You try this out. And caring for details is the sign of love. Choti choti baaton ka agar if you take care, no, then immediately the parents will also become devotees. Or in that case, even the in-laws are like parents only. They are also becoming old. They are also actually becoming aged. They also want love. Like for example, if the in-laws, they're expecting something from the daughter-in-law, there is nothing wrong. Why? Because they have raised that boy right from childhood, and they have brought him to that particular stand of, he's earning maybe 1 lakh 2 lakhs a month. They have toiled behind him. Somebody might say, oh, उन्होंने एहसान नहीं किया है और अपने बच्चे को पढ़ा के लिखा के or something like that. But no, they have given their own young age to that little boy. And now that little boy has become big. And what are the in-laws expecting? That, the daughter-in-law who has come entered into the house, she should also give a little love, to us also. She should also think that, that we are also her parents. How she's treating her parents, she should treat us also. So this is something about that. Like, any more questions? I hope that satisfies your answer. Shubhangi Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, thank you.
Shri Mataji has something to say?
Yes, Mataji. A small digression, but wanted to understand somewhere right now. You said that we should request Krishna. At an earlier stage, someone had told me, one Mataji, that you should not ask Krishna because he already knows what is right. And so the instance was, a friend's mother was very sick and she would have left her body. So I requested that prayers be done so that she releases her body in peace. So Mataji said, no, you will not ask for that. You just ask for Krishna to do what is right. So the question is, do we ask specifically what we want? Like you said, request for the parents to be moving forward in Krishna consciousness, versus we just leave it to Krishna?
So see, we are actually requesting Krishna. We are not commanding Krishna. There is a difference between when you command Krishna and you request Krishna. So that is why we use the word if you desire so, because Krishna has his own free will and he has given you also a free will. So now you are saying that Krishna, if you desire so, let my parents become devotees, let my friends become devotees, let my in-laws become devotees. तो ये भगवान की मर्जी पे आप छोड़ देते हो और आप एंड अल्टीमेटली भगवान की भी मर्जी वही है ना कि जितने भी मेरे बच्चे हो मेरे पास ही आए और आपकी भी क्या इच्छा है वही इच्छा है ना सो यू आर वन इन लाइन विद कृष्णाज इंटरेस्ट आपका इंटरेस्ट और भगवान का इंटरेस्ट कोई अलग नहीं है यू ऑल्सो वॉन्ट यू नो दे बिकम डिवोटीज एंड कृष्णा ऑल्सो वॉन्ट्स कि ये मेरे बच्चे वापस बैक होम बैक टू गॉडेड आ जाए तो अब आपने कृष्णा पे छोड़ दिया है और अगर कृष्णा आपसे प्रसन्न हो जाते हैं आपकी किसी भी एक एक्टिविटी से कि अच्छा ये बहुत अच्छा बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करती है आई एम ओब्लाइज्ड आई एम सोल्ड टू दिस गर्ल then he might make your parents a devotee. That is completely up to his own free will. Okay, Joy Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Any more questions anybody has? I'm sorry, I'm not able to see the screen, but I just try to. किसी का और कोई प्रश्न है? I see no hands raised up. Okay, so we'll move to the next mantra, which is the 10th mantra, where it speaks about more on this. अन्याद् एव हुर्विद्याया ज्ञानाद् अहुर् अविद्यः इति शुश्रुमा धीरानां येनस्त विचक्षिरे. The wise have explained that one result is derived from the culture of knowledge and that a different result is obtained from the culture of nescience. So now see, what is obtained from the culture of knowledge and what is obtained from the culture of nescience. These will be the two topics that will be discussed in this particular purport. So, Rupa Manohar Prabhu, please read this purport.
Sorry, Mataji, actually my throat is not good. So it's a cough.
Okay. You please take a throat rest, Prabhu. You please take a throat rest. We'll speak. We'll say somebody else. Okay. Partha Sarthi Govind Prabhu, please do the honors.
Hare Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace, C.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Chief Prabhupada. In chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita, 13.8 to 12, one should culture knowledge in the following ways. First, one should become a perfect gentleman and learn to give proper respect to others. Second, one should not pose himself as a religionist simply for name and fame. Third, one should not become a source of anxiety to others by the action of his body, by the thoughts of his mind, or by his words. Fourth, one should learn forbearance even in the face of provocation from others. 5. One should learn to avoid duplicity in his dealings with others. 6. One should search out a bona fide spiritual master who can lead him gradually to the stage of spiritual realization, and one must submit himself to such a spiritual master, render him service, and ask relevant questions. 7. In order to approach the platform of self-realization, one must follow the regulative principles enjoined in the revealed scriptures. 8. One must be fixed in the tenets of a revealed scriptures. 9. One should completely refrain from practices which are detrimental to the interest of self-realization. 10. One should not accept more than he requires for the maintenance of the body. 11. One should not falsely identify himself with the gross material body, nor should one consider those who are related to his body to be his own. 12. One should always remember that as long as he has a material body, he must face the miseries of repeated birth, old age, disease, and death. There is no use in making plans to get rid of these miseries of the material body. The best course is to find out the means by which one may regain his spiritual identity. 13. One should not be attached to more than the necessities of life required for spiritual advancement. 14. One should not be more attached to wife, children, and home than the revealed scriptures ordain. 15. One should not be happy or distressed over desirables and undesirables, knowing that such feelings are just created by the mind. 16. One should become an unalloyed devotee of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and serve him with rapt attention. 17. One should develop a liking for a residence in a secluded place with a calm and quiet atmosphere favorable for spiritual culture, and one should avoid congested places where non-devotees congregate. 18. One should become a scientist or a philosopher and conduct research into spiritual knowledge, recognizing that spiritual knowledge is permanent, whereas material knowledge ends with the death of the body.
Yeah.
This,
Yeah, we'll just,
shall I continue, Mata?
yeah, we'll just discuss with these 18 items first.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. So these are the 18 items actually that are mentioned over here. So now if you see in this, that this mantra 9 described the results of cultivating ignorance and false knowledge. And now mantra 10 will explain that true knowledge will bring different results than, either of these. So mantra 10 will also, emphasize on the need of taking guidance from a dhira. In the, if you take the help of a dhira, then you will be able to discriminate between real knowledge and illusionary knowledge. And that is why if you see these items that are, from the Bhagavad Gita, if you read 13th chapter, 8th shloka to the 12th shloka, these are all contrasted with, modern symptoms of avidya. So Vidya must come from a perfectly realized person who is a dhira, and that is real education. So now in mantra 10, we will hear from, the authorities that what is the result derived from, culturing spiritual knowledge, and a different result is derived from neglecting such a knowledge. And because the knowledge of the soul is not being taught in modern education schools and all, there is enmity or animosity in all social, political, religious fields today. And how much ever we attempt to dominate this material nature, more and more it will be not, it is not considering that, there is a creator, or what is the purpose of that creator. And this all will result in the more fall and more fall down of these people, and there'll be more fights and there'll be more wars and all. So while we are cultivating knowledge of this material world, we must also acquire spiritual knowledge from a self-realized soul who can understand our common eternal spiritual nature in relation to the Supreme Lord. So in that particular way, that if you see that in this paragraph, Vidya and Avidya, they have two important actually words in this. So, scriptures use, contrast, as a potent means to explain, like, what you say that somebody, like it's like a debate as such, that somebody says something and then you prove your point. So even Krishna uses this in the Bhagavad Gita. So where he says about culturing knowledge and culturing Nisa. And so in this particular text, say that there are two aspects. One is culturing knowledge and culturing knee science. So for culturing knowledge, then these 18 items that we read will be there. And how to cultivate these 18 items, then you have to approach a dhira for that. You can acquire this knowledge from a dhira, one who is well situated. And who is that dhira, then his also qualities will be revealed. And culturing knee science, then what is knee science, what is the nature of knee science, what is the result of cultivating knee science, we'll be seeing all these things like as such, and furthermore also we'll be seeing that culturing knee science means these all 18 items that were there, just go opposite to these 18 items, that is culturing knee science. And then it will say that more and more, what is the result of culturing knee science, the result of cultivating knee science will be getting into the repetition of birth and death. So in para 1 and all these paragraphs that we read, all that 18 points that we read, so how to cultivate knowledge is given. And when you cultivate knowledge, this particular vidya will lead us to a desirable quality that we want in ourselves. So that is why Krishna is advising us in the Bhagavad Gita that we can culture knowledge in 18 ways. So Bhagavad Gita is giving 20 qualities, which Srila Prabhupada is putting into these 18 sentences. And humility is shown by how we respect others. Humility is not low about us. We should not think, okay, I'm very low or I'm very less. No. Prabhupada is correlating ISHOPANISHAD with Gita-Upanishad. And Prabhupada is giving a very profound knowledge of humility. He's giving even a profound knowledge of the definition of ahimsa as well. So culture of knowledge does not mean that, reading lots of books. It is a whole culture of life. It involves many things, including books also. Not only, only these things, reading. So in one of the lectures of Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj, he says that Mahabhagavat, behave according to these 19 or 18 qualities. So it means that Krishna is behind them. Why is Krishna behind a Mahabhagavata? So you have to be equipoised and humble to see problems of life as they are, people as they are, and God as he is. So, there is an example of the cobbler and the Brahmana, we know. And Ravana was also highly intelligent, but he could not understand Krishna because he was not humble. So if we are also not humble, we will never be able to understand God or Krishna. So if we are not humble, then we will look down upon devotees, we will not respect devotees. And hence, our knowledge will be incomplete. So this culture of humility is very important. And that is why if you see in most of the lectures of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, he speaks elaborately on humility. So these 18 items combine to form a gradual process by which real knowledge can be, developed. So, there are many, changing conceptions of knowledge. Like, for example, Prahlad Maharaj, said that knowledge is devotion. Knowledge is devotion means knowledge is transcendental. But Socrates said that knowledge is virtue, which means that knowledge is sattvic, in the mode of, goodness. And Francis Bacon says that knowledge is power. So like knowledge is like, his, conception was that because his conception was more, on a mode of passion. So he says that knowledge is power, which is Rajasic. So Francis Bacon's thought mainly lead to the development of science and technology. He, like, he was a post-Renaissance thinker. And these days, in those days, this Tamasic knowledge was very prominent. So how many children does this, movie star have, or etc., that way, like, so if you see that this only, when you're not educated in spiritual life, this only divorce of education from transformation, it leads to disruption. So knowledge is not for pooling, but for pulling towards Krishna. What you know is not as important as how you live by that knowledge. Actually, pooling means, accumulating. So knowledge is not for accumulating, but knowledge is, for pulling us towards Krishna. So learning should be for, living, not just for earning. Today, that emphasis is completely lost. So, if you see that nobody's caring for, cultivation of real knowledge nowadays. And yet people are very falsely proud of being advanced both materially and spiritual knowledge. And that is why this avidya is leading to undesirable qualities. And that is why how these Vadaratas are coming into picture now. They teach the karmis how to smoke cigarette. So all this, there are so-called, this, that, they actually propagate that, smoking cigarette will give you the highest pleasure, or having sex will give you the highest pleasure. So this is completely, condemned. So let's see the next paragraph. We actually read the first paragraph, there's 18 items. Now we are going towards the second paragraph. Okay.
Shall I continue, Mataji?
No, we just give somebody else a chance to read.
Okay.
Who said that? Shall I continue? Who was that? I didn't hear the voice properly. Couldn't recognize.
Mataji, this is me.
No, Prabhu, we'll just give somebody else a chance.
Okay. Okay.
Matsendra Prabhu, please do the honors of reading this paragraph.
Hare Krishna. These 18 items combine to form a gradual process by which real knowledge can be developed. Except for these, all other methods are considered to be in the category of nescience. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura, a great Acharya, maintained that all forms of material knowledge are merely external features of the illusionary energy, and that by culturing them, one becomes no better than an ass. The same principle is found here in Sri ISHOPANISHAD. By advancement of material knowledge, modern man is simply being converted into an ass. Some materialistic politicians and spiritual guides decry the present system of civilization as satanic. But unfortunately, they do not care about the culture of real knowledge as it is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Thus, they cannot change the satanic situation.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. So now in this particular, paragraph, which is saying that the advancement of material knowledge makes one an ass. So except for those 18 items, all other methods are considered to be in the category of nescience. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that all forms of material knowledge are merely external features of the illusionary energy. And when you're culturing them, one becomes no better than an ass. So somebody might say that, or somebody might ask a question. Message means what? I should not cultivate only material knowledge, but material knowledge should be cultivated only to that particular point, how much you can sustain your body and your soul. So by advancement of material knowledge, modern man is, simply converting himself to an ass. Material knowledge means what? They want to see television, they want to see news, they want to see Discovery Channel, they want to see all these things which are really not required. And you keep on, hovering on that particular news or on that particular knowledge. So that is actually condemned. So these materialistic politicians in, spiritual guides, they decry the present system of civilization as satanic. But, they are, they do not care about real knowledge. Real knowledge means what? Real knowledge is that I should surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I should be thinking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I should be actually doing Shravanam Kirtanam about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That knowledge actually they are missing on that. So this is what is being said in this particular paragraph. So let's see with the next paragraph what Srila Prabhupada has to say. Harsh Prabhu, please do the honors of reading this paragraph.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah.
In the modern society, even a boy thinks himself self-sufficient and pays no respect to elderly men. Due to the wrong type of education being imparted in our universities, boys all over the world are giving their elders headaches. Thus, Ishopanishad very strongly vows that the culture of nescience is different from that of knowledge. Universities are, so to speak, centers of nescience only. Consequently, scientists are busy discovering lethal weapons to wipe out the existence of other countries. University students today are not given instructions in the regulatory principles of Brahmacharya, celibate student life, nor do they have any faith in any scriptural injunctions. Religious principles are taught for the sake of name and fame only, and not for the sake of practical action. Thus, there is animosity not only in social and political fields, but in the field of religion as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. So if you see now over here in this particular paragraph, they're actually speaking about what is the fault of modern university education that has been given to our own children over here. So even a boy is thinking that, thinks himself, self-sufficient, thinks, okay, now I'm independent, I'm self-sufficient, I don't need to respect my elders. So in Kali Yuga, this fault finding in someone requires as much cleverness as finding water in the ocean. Kaler dosha nidhe rajan, asti hi eko. So, these students, they do not have, amanitvam, or they do not have socham or cleanliness. Amanitvam means actually respecting, elders, and socham means cleanliness. So students are not given any instruction in the regulative principles of brahmacharya. If you see a normal university guy who has entered grade 11 or 12, he's also lost his virginity, or a girl has also lost her virginity at the age of 14, 15, 16. Not to speak only of USA, but even in India that is happening. So even 100 and 150 years ago, both in even the East and the West, it was understood that education includes self-mastery. So there was no education, so, there was a question to this person called Aristotle. He says that who should have sex? And the answer was, whenever you want to be a weaker than yourself, then you should have sex. So these are only centers of science, avidya. And scientists are busy discovering lethal weapons. And then, this country is firing, weapons to this country. And we've been seeing actually in the news also that now China and Taiwan and all these, so they are just, centers of science only. So Einstein, once sent a letter to, the US government, which led to the Manhattan Project, which led to the development of an atom bomb. So when he saw destruction in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, he said that, sending the letter was my biggest mistake. He thought that Hitler might develop it so, and a better America is developed before. But it was found that Hitler was nowhere even nearer. And Hitler sent scholars to India to find if he could get the Brahmastra. So now we have chemical weapons as big as, the cell phone, which can even destroy several kilometers. So these people have no faith in scriptural injunctions. And the religious principles, are taught only for the sake of name only, name, fame, and not for the sake of practical application. So it is just hypocrisy, adambhitvam it is. Just there is, okay, you are something and you try to pose something. So even in the Ganesha festival, if you see, the size of Ganesha deity becomes like a symbol of the size of their false ego of the maker. Like, I don't know much whether you all know, but in Maharashtra, this Ganesh festival is celebrated on a very, very large scale. And every gully or every lane will have one big Ganpati, situated or established. And then there will be a competition. Okay, our Ganpati is 2 feet, our Ganpati is 20 feet, our Ganpati is, like 50 feet tall. So, that is why I said it becomes like a size of false ego of the maker. So, and what is happening? Filmy songs are played, before the idol of Ganpati. So there is, cheap imitations on whoever's head the water of Guru's, what is that actually? What do you call it in English? Guru's feet waterfalls will be, initiated. So this is, mutually self-serving and self-deluding. So, in one of the sampradayas, they are, not even sampradaya, you can call in one of the organizations, the guru, just throws water, and on whomever that water falls, that particular person is initiated by that, guru. So, and that the diksha process is over. There is no fire sacrifice, there is nothing. And there are no regulative principles also. You can do whatever you like after initiation. So the guru does not give him, like in ISKCON, how we have, a proper class first, and then the initiated are initiated, giving them the importance. But over there is no fire sacrifice, there is no there is no witness to that you've got initiated as such. And then that is why this is, they want to just serve their false egos. So what is the result of all this? This animosity, not only in social and political fields, but in the field of religion also there will be animosity. This guru is big and I am big, and he's big and he's not so big. He has so many disciples and I have only so many disciples. And then there'll be like a tough competition and animosity between it. So this is very dangerous, and that is why it will lead to, knee science as such. So let's see in paragraph 4 what Prabhupada has to say. Yeah. Shubhangi Mataji, please read this paragraph.
Nationalism has developed in different parts of the world due to the cultivation of Nisans by the general people. No one considers that this tiny earth is just a lump of matter floating in immeasurable space, along with many other lumps. In comparison to the vastness of space, these material lumps are just like dust particles in the air. Because God has kindly made these lumps of matter complete in themselves, they are perfectly equipped with all necessities for floating in space. The drivers of our spaceships may be very proud of their achievements, but they do not consider the supreme driver of these greater more gigantic spaceships called planets.
Gigantic hai ye word, huh? Okay. Gigantic spaceships. Okay, read the next para also.
There are innumerable suns and innumerable planetary systems also, and infinitesimal parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. We small creatures are trying to dominate these unlimited planets. Thus, we take repeated births and deaths and are generally frustrated by old age and disease. The span of human life is scheduled for about 100 years, although it is gradually decreasing to 20 or 30 years. Thanks to the culture of Nisans, befooled men have created their own nations within these planets in order to grasp sense enjoyment more effectively for these few years. Such foolish people draw up various plans to render national demarcations perfectly, a task that is totally impossible. Yet for this purpose, each and every nation has become a source of anxiety for others. More than 50% of nations' energy is devoted to defense measures and thus spoiled. No one cares for the cultivation of real knowledge, yet people are falsely proud of being advanced in both material and spiritual knowledge. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Madhavi. So now in these two paragraphs, so primarily it is speaking about knee science and how knee science will lead to, nationalism and chauvinism. So nationalism is developed, due to the, cultivation of knee science by the general people. And nobody considers that, okay, this tiny earth is just a lump of matter floating in the innumerable, space, along with so many other lumps. So, the analogy is given by Srila Prabhupada that in comparison to this vastness of the space, these material lumps are, just like dust particles that are, in the air. So the drivers of these spaceships, they are like very proud of their achievements, but they are not considering that there is a supreme driver of these planets also. And we are just small creatures just trying to dominate these unlimited planets. So when you are in ignorance, when you do not have that particular knowledge, then what will happen? The result will be that there will be repeated birth and death and frustration by old age and diseases as such. And when you disregard, then you are befooled, and that you have created your own nation and your own planet, and then you want to do sense enjoyment for a few years. And that is why every nation has become a source of anxiety for others. More than 50% of the nation's energy is, devoted to the defense measures, and all that wealth is being just being plundered like unnecessary as such. So if everybody would live in peace, then there is no need only of these defense measures. So, there is in Bhagavad Gita it says that there is paradharma and there is aparadharma. So we are not condemning, these nationalist feelings and all, but we are saying that they have to transcend this nationalism also. And they should know that I am actually in knee science. How I should come out of this knee science, and how I should actually move towards knowledge, that they do not know. But now Prabhupada in the next paragraph will give us that how to come out of this knee science. Let's see in paragraph number 6 what Prabhupada has to say. Shri ISHOPANISHAD warns us of this faulty type of education, and the Bhagavad Gita gives instructions as to the development of real knowledge. This mantra states that the instructions of Vidya knowledge must be acquired from a dhira. A dhira is one who is not disturbed by material illusion. No one can be undisturbed unless he is perfectly spiritually realized, at which time or neither hankers nor laments for anything. A dhira realizes that the material body and mind he has acquired by chance through material association are but foreign elements Therefore, he simply makes the best use of the bad bargain. I'll be reading the next one also. The material body and mind are bad bargains for the spiritual living entity. The living entity has actual functions in the living spiritual world. But this material world is dead. As long as the living spiritual sparks manipulate the dead lumps of matter, the dead world appears to be a living world. Actually, it is the living souls, the part and parcel of the supreme living being, who move the world. The dhiras have come to know all these facts by hearing from the superior authorities and have realized this knowledge by following the regulative principles. So now in these two paragraphs, what is Prabhupada trying to say is that in paragraph 6, he's saying that how to come out from this knowledge. So if you want to come out of this, how to come out of this knee science. So if you want to come out of this knee science, then you have to take the knowledge from a dhira. And ISHOPANISHAD is actually warning us of the faulty type of education. And the Bhagavad Gita is giving us the instructions as to how to develop real knowledge. And what is real knowledge and how to develop that real knowledge. So the instructions of Vidya or knowledge, they can be acquired only from a dhira person. So what is the definition of a dhira? Dhira is one who is not disturbed by material illusion. Material illusion yani kya? Jo nahi hai. You start fantasizing about that. So for example, if you go in a deserted area and then you are actually thirsty and you want water, and then you see some shiny sand, so you are illusioned that okay, that shiny sand is somewhere like water, and I can get water from there. So a dhira realizes that the material body and the mind that he has acquired by chance through the material association are all foreign elements, and he just has to make the best use of a bad bargain. What is the best use of a bad bargain? I've got this material body, but I have to make the best use of this material body in the bad bargain. I actually wanted to enjoy independently from the Lord, so I have been put into this material world. But now this body is being given to me, and let me make the best use of it. So chance means, when I say that, when I said that he has acquired this material body by chance, chance means actually there is no intrinsic connection between the soul and the mind and body. It means that we have nothing to do with this body. But that doesn't mean that there is no order, as such. So in the next paragraph, in the 7th paragraph, it is saying that only that what knowledge will make a person dhira or undisturbed. So a dhira knows that the material body and this, mind are all bad bargains for the spiritual living entity, and that the living entity has, actual functions in the spiritual world, but this material world is actually dead. And as long as, this spiritual spark, he's living, as a spiritual spark, he has to manipulate this dead lump of matter, that is the body. And the dead world appears to be a living, that, he has to come out from this illusion. And how to get this knowledge? So to get this knowledge, you will have to hear from the superior authority and realize by following the regulative principles. This is what has been said in this paragraph 7. So let's see with the next 2 paragraphs what they have to say. Okay, I did not share the screen. Okay. To follow the regulative principles, one must take the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master The transcendental message and regulative principles come down from the spiritual master to the disciplic succession. Such knowledge does not come in the hazardous way of Nissan education. One can become a dhira only by submissively hearing from a bona fide spiritual master. Arjuna, for example, became a dhira by submissively hearing from Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead himself. Thus the perfect disciple must be like Arjuna, and the spiritual master must be as good as the Lord himself. This is the process of learning Vidya, knowledge from the dhira, the undisturbed. And a dhira, one who has not undergone the training of dhira, cannot be an instructive leader. Modern politicians who pose themselves as dhiras are actually adhiras, and one cannot expect perfect knowledge from them. They are simply busy seeing their own remuneration in dollars and cents. How then can they lead the mass of people to the right path of self-realization? Thus, one must hear submissively from a dhira in order to attain actual education. So see how much Srila Prabhupada is again and again, this hit and hammer, hit and hammer. He's again and again saying that what is the process of becoming a dhira? So the process of becoming dhira is to follow the regulative principles, taking the shelter of the spiritual master, and submissive hearing from a bona fide spiritual master. So the perfect disciple should be like Arjuna, and the perfect master should be like, the Lord himself. And this is the process of learning Vidya, knowledge, from a dhira, who is an undisturbed person. And Prabhupada in the next paragraph, he's saying about how these modern politicians are adhira. Adhira means they are not, qualified also. And because they are unqualified, they lead the others also to an unqualified, this. So Prabhupada criticizes modern politicians the second time in one purport only. So modern politicians who are posing themselves as dhiras are actually adhiras. They're untrained people. And one cannot expect perfect knowledge from an untrained person or a not perfect person. And Prabhupada is actually referring to a famous example from, they are simply busy seeing, their own remuneration in dollars and cents. So all these politicians that are there, they are saying that how will I increase my bank balance in Swiss bank, and how will I increase my bank balance, and how much keep on just, minting money from the general mass of people. So then how can they also lead the mass of people to the right path of self-realization? They are so much busy into their own sense gratification because of not having knowledge, then it is very difficult. So if you see this word dhira, it is coming in Bhagavad Gita also, it is coming in ISHOPANISHAD also, and it will come in Nectar of Devotion also. And this is what actually Krishna is demanding from us, that we must become dhiras. Somebody might say that Bhagwan ki ichha kya hai? What is the desire of the Lord? So if you want to know the desire of the Lord, then we should read Bhagavad Gita. We should read Nectar of Instruction. We should read ISHOPANISHAD. Specifically in the Bhagavad Gita, direct instructions of the Supreme Lord are given, that this is what I want from a devotee who is actually trying to become my devotee. So now in this particular, text, Srila Prabhupada is explaining knowledge by, giving, from the Bhagavad Gita. He's actually explaining the gradual process by which real knowledge can be developed. And except all these, all other methods will not help. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur goes even more far away to say that other methods will only help one to become an ass or a donkey. And even these model educational institutes, they are failing to produce, people of character, and they're helping only to increase the problems of, humanity. And ignorance in the form of nationalism is just threatening the, world situation. But despite of all these problems, people fail, to grasp the importance of spiritual knowledge. People do not want to take up to spiritual knowledge at all. So the solution is that one has to receive proper knowledge from a qualified, bona fide teacher who is a dhira, who's not disturbed in any situation, and he should be spiritually aware of, and he should be spiritually aware, and uh, he should not take shelter of an adhira who is just an opposite, who is always disturbed. So we saw that what is the culture of true knowledge. We also saw that true knowledge brings about different results other than the culture of knee science. What is the need to take guidance from the dhira who is not disturbed by even this knee science? Then we saw the discrimination between real and illusionary knowledge, and how this material life is actually a bad bargain, and how to make the best use of the bad bargain. We also saw that, all other forms other than these 18 forms that are there of material knowledge, they are just, an illusionary energy of the Supreme Lord. Then we saw that how modern education is actually like, killer of the spiritual consciousness. We also saw that what is the effects of, avidya, and how these material planets, they are just, dead lump of matter that are floating in, the space like dust particles. So this is what we all discussed in this 9th and the 10th mantra. So anybody has any queries for the 10th mantra? I'm opening up the floor for discussion. Any reflections you'll have from these two mantras, the 9th mantra and the 10th mantra? What did you all like? What did you all not like of this two mantras? Everybody understood everything? So, okay, anything, one point that struck your heart that you liked, what Prabhupada is saying in his purport, or anything of that, you all can share your realizations of this particular two mantras. Yeah, Shubhangi Mataji.
Mataji, just I think 10 minutes back in para 5 or 6, you made a point that Srila Prabhupada made it simple that we just need to follow the regulative principles and hear from a bona fide spiritual master and follow the path. And if this had been taught in the colleges also, we'll have a good generation.
Yes, yes, yes. In fact,
Very simple.
Yeah, like when I came into Krishna consciousness, I was thinking that only, that why was this not taught in our school and colleges at all? Why was not it? So we would have, we would be running in Krishna consciousness. If this only thing was established in school, because I studied in a convent school, and where, only Jesus and, this Bible and everything was there, and many other things. We did have a moral science, period as such, a lecture as such, but even in that, not much greatly in details, because of the secularism, and because of all these things, they never taught us anything of such. So even I was lamenting that why was this not taught in schools? We would be knowing our relationship with the Lord long before only, and we would be running in Krishna consciousness. In fact, we would be flying in Krishna consciousness right now. So yeah, I agree with you. What you're trying to say is, yeah. Any more reflections and realizations? Yeah, Juhi Mataji.
Mataji, just one thought I wanted to share. When we say dhira, equipoise, it sounds very something that, if we follow the regulative principles, we follow the guru, it'll happen. But try as I might, I've not been able to even come close to the definition also. We get so disturbed by little things that happen in our regular life. So how can we even aim to come related, just 1% close to what Prabhupada is talking about? I don't know how to do that. So, I mean, if there are any thoughts, I heard you say that regulative principles and all, but that is, we work in an isolated field when we say, okay, we are chanting or we are doing Krishna consciousness puja or something. But how do we do it in regular life? I don't know.
Yeah. So for example, see, we are grihasthas, okay, and we are staying far away from the temple. We are not staying near the temple, right? And we need association. To become a dhira, you need the association of a dhira, right? So you're talking from that point of view. So when we are in association, in maximum association, then we develop those qualities. Now, if you do not have that association sitting at home, then there are two people who are very pure devotees in your own house, which we are not realizing. One is Tulsi Maharani, who is a very, very pure devotee in your own house. You can take her association. And one is Srila Prabhupada's purport. Srila Prabhupada is, sitting in your own house in the form of his Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. And even if we make a slight conscious effort of reading those books for maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, then you're associating with Prabhupada. Knowledge will actually, वो statement क्या है? Knowledge will overpower knee science. Wherever there is knowledge, there'll be no knee science. Then whatever activity you are doing, whether you're cooking, whether you're taking care of the children, taking care of your in-laws and all, you will be equipoised. If even somebody is, saying something to you, it won't affect you at all, because you know that you are a soul, and soul ko, cannot be burnt, cannot be, drowned, cannot be, splashed, anything, because it's going to rebond. So if you don't retaliate only on anything, or you don't give a reaction only, then you're equipoised. Aapko kuch effect nahi hoga. It is very easy to say sitting on this side, where I have the association of devotees. All my neighbors, my whole society is a society of devotees, where I'm constantly having this association. I'm having that privilege. But yes, there was a time where I was staying in between non-devotees also. ऐसा नहीं था कि all the time, all my life I've been staying in the association of devotees only. But we have gone through that stage also. But we were, struggling in those days also. We were actually struggling. But yeah, we took constant association of devotees. We were the ones. And see, even the city also matters a lot. I mean, I am sitting in such a city where, any point I want to access, half an hour it takes me to reach that particular, this. So if I want to go from one temple to another temple also within the city, maximum half an hour I will take. It is very easy to sit and say on this side, but yes, we can try. We can, we can pray. We can make our own efforts. And you know what, Juhi Mataji, the best part about Krishna is what, he loves your efforts. आप जितना भी आप प्रयास कर रहे हो ना, जितना भी आप effort कर रहे हो, just as a father, he sees the effort of a child, that he's trying to crawl. The father is very happy. Oh, my child learned crawling. Then when the father is seeing that my child is taking support of the wall, my child is taking support of the, association of devotees, then he's happy. Then my child is taking the support of the devotees and now he's learned walking. So the father is very happy. Krishna is very happy. Now my child is running in bhakti. He's running towards devotees. Then the father is happy. So whenever we are making efforts, it's completely assured that Krishna sitting over there is very, very happy with us. But that endeavor Krishna is demanding even in the Bhagavad Gita. That endeavor is dear to Krishna. Whatever little endeavors we are making, it might be 5%, it might be 2%, it might be 10% also. But that endeavor is very dear to Krishna. Whatever endeavors you're making, even if you start, where Vaisheshika Prabhu says, a sage by page. You're reading 1 page a day, you become a sage, right? So these endeavors are very endearing to the Lord. Whatever endeavors you are making in Krishna consciousness, then Krishna will put you in that situation, or Krishna will make those, facilities for you, where you will be in the association of devotees 24/7. But the initial stages of Krishna consciousness will be a little struggle, will be definitely this. But even sitting at home, where Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Grihe thako, vane thako, sada hari bole thako. Sitting in your house also, you can be Krishna consciousness by making small endeavors. Like definitely, you must be offering food to the Lord. So, I had heard one lecture of His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu that I do not eat that food which is not intended to cook for Krishna. I eat only that food as prasadam which is intended to cook only for Krishna. Just for example, in my daily life, okay, I mean, after hearing this sentence, it was such a striking, my whole consciousness actually changed after hearing this. That daily I'm cooking, अच्छा मुझे क्या अच्छा लगेगा मैं वही cook करूंगी. But कृष्ण को क्या अच्छा लगता है आप जाके कृष्ण से पूछते हो, okay Krishna, what's the menu for today? You decide. What do you like? You please tell me. I will cook only that thing. So this is called cooking intended to cook for Krishna. तो भगवान के लिए ही, या sometimes we think, oh, I want to cook this sandwich for my child. But now that was intended to cook for your child. It was not intended to cook for Krishna. Right? So when you intend to cook for Krishna, then that is actually sanctified prasadam. And when Krishna will have it, okay, he's satisfied. इसने specially मेरे लिए ये item बनाई हुई है, ये dish बनाई हुई है. So that is called, see. So, Juhi Mataji, your concern is completely, in the right direction. And I completely understand your concern that in this particular situation, how am I to handle, all these things? But rest assured, when we take small steps towards Krishna, Krishna is also taking in that only degree, those many steps towards us. But the first step we need to take.
Thank you so much, Mataji. You put things in perspective so beautifully. So I was reading, but Tulsi Mata Puja was more cursory for me. Now I think I will follow what you're saying.
Yeah, she is the most pure devotee in your house. And if you see, जिस घर में भक्ति बहुत प्रचुर मात्रा में होगी, Tulsi Maharani will be like a big rounded, it will not be a plant actually. You will actually be talking. Now, even I had heard in one of the lecture, whatever miseries a particular person has, and he just goes and speaks those miseries, Tulsi Maharani is so merciful that whatever miseries you have, she takes it upon herself. आपके पास जो कुछ भी क्लेश है, आप जाके उस सिर्फ उसको बताओगे, she will take all those. But then, I feel that why should we give our miseries to Mother Tulsi? Like, Bichari, she is purifying us, she's giving her association, she's giving us all that, facility that we can advance in Krishna consciousness. She's the one who is connecting us to Krishna. Krishna does not accept anything, without Mother Tulsi, because she's the purest. So we are approaching Krishna through a pure devotee. That is the main advantage of putting a Tulsi flower or Tulsi leaf when you are offering bhoga. That we are not pure. But because Mother Tulsi is very pure and she is the pure devotee, Krishna becomes obliged to take our offering through Mother Tulsi. So the recommendation is going from Mother Tulsi. And then again, we have our acharyas on the altar. We have Srila Prabhupada, we have our own spiritual master. We have the Shat Goswamis and all. So that hierarchy, Krishna does not accept directly anything. Even in the Bhagavad Gita says, jo kehta hai mere bhakton ka bhakt hai, wahi mera sahi bhakt hai. The one who says that he's my devotee, he's not my devotee at all. But the one who says, who is the devotee of my devotees, he is my devotee. So that hierarchy, Krishna is also actually, following. So yeah, Mother Tulsi is the purest in your own house. And Prabhupada is personally present in the books, in the purports. Prabhupada is saying that, these purports are my ecstasies. मान लो अगर कोई बहुत ज्यादा खुश है और somebody who's very, very jubilant, he would like to share his jubilance, with others. So what has he done? His relationship with Krishna, his relationship with the Gopas, Gopis, Manjaris, he's actually sharing it in his books, in his purports. His ecstasies, he's sharing it in his purports. And when we are reading those purports, we also become jubilant. Why? Because we are understanding, okay, my real connection is with Krishna. My real connection is not with him. But see, in one of the mantras, we just read that where those 18 points that were mentioned. So you should live with your family, how much is required to be connected to Krishna. That doesn't mean that you become completely detached. Sometimes, people become very fanatic. They say that, okay, my relationship is only with Krishna. Hell with those, family members. I don't care about the family members. No, but these family members, in their heart also the Paramatma is residing. Then it is see, over here now, the material world is like a practice ground. Practice ground for us that how will we love every relationship in the spiritual world. So over here I'm practicing, for example, you are practicing that, okay, how will I best serve my husband? Giving him nice foodstuffs and offering it to Krishna and giving him as prasadam. So you are trying to become a very good wife by serving your husband. In the spiritual world, Krishna is your ultimate husband. So over here, if you serve your husband very nicely, then you will serve Krishna also very nicely in the spiritual world. Over here, if you are serving your children very nicely in the spiritual world, also you will have children. So over there also you learn how to best serve the children well. Or in the spiritual world also you will have in-laws. So how best you will serve over here your in-laws, you'll be serving in the spiritual world also in-laws in that way. ये पूरा practice ground है हमारे लिए यहाँ पे. So here how best we perform, हमारी final performance वहाँ पे बहुत बढ़िया होगी. And over there, they require people who will serve. They don't want कामचोर्स over there. वहाँ पे कामचोरों की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. वहाँ पे सिर्फ सेवादारों की जरूरत है. जो सेवा करेगा वही वहाँ पे पहुंचेगा. So this is maybe just a little humor I've put in, but this is the fact actually.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Yeah, any more questions or queries? Anybody has? Okay, so if nobody has any, then we just halt over here.